Welcome back to Stuck in the Nail, the only podcast on the internet talking about first-person aspects of Star Citizen. Now, again, let me be very clear, this is a first-person shooter experience that Star Citizen is. It's a lot of things, but we just focus on FPS. What can I do from a first-person perspective? Namely combat is what we discuss. So, I got producer Mallory here in the background. You'll hear her chime in or giggle. And then with me today, I have Angry Weasel over there on the far left of your screen, a fellow streamer and branded privateer. And then in the middle, one of our new MCs, Hoots. Hootie Hoots. How's it going, Hoots?
It's going good.
Good.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, we're happy to have you too. You guys, these guys are some motherfucking characters. So we got them on the show here. But Weasel, how you doing, bro?
Doing good as always. How you?
Hell yeah, it's so good. I like the background. I like the flannel. And this is a hodgepodge little episode we're snapping together too. But audio's good and video's good, so we're in business. This will change form. I think we'll have Ego do a once over on it, and he'll make it more on brand and continue with Stuck in the Nail. But we did lose a lot of assets recently for reasons. So those of you who are, this is the first episode we've done without Echo 5 Romeo. We wish him well. He moved on to a different community and things like that, all on good terms. We miss the guy. We still play with him from time to time. He's elusive, like a jungle cat. He'll pop in and out. But he wishes the branded privateers community well. And he'll always have a place here. His opinions will live on and Stuck in the Nail for many episodes. I think he did 16 episodes. So this is number 17. We got to get those re-upped onto the YouTube as well. But boys, why don't you guys give the community like a little bit about yourselves, how long you've been playing Star Citizen. We'll kind of intro you guys in before we dive in. Just to let you guys know, we have 3 hosts now, 3 MCs, because we have a really good dynamic we're about to show you today. And then I think Hoots is kind of going to be our main anchor. We got some different roles set aside, but we're going to be able to bounce around. Sometimes it'll be Hoots and Weasel. Sometimes it'll be me and Weasel. Sometimes it'll be me and Hoots. Like, we can just kind of share the consistency of the show. But let's start with Angry. We'll just go left to right. Tell us a little bit about yourself, dude.
Hello, I'm Angry Weasel. I've been playing Star Citizen since 3.2 or 3, I can't remember, but roughly about 2018. I got into it the first time and put it down quickly thereafter because I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And I got blown up too many times trying to travel from Port Olisar to Herson. And left the game alone for about 3 months and then got back into it with another org, OAC. And then spent a long time over there training their guys and kind of getting them into more FPS combat and stuff like that. Ran across Echo and Daft a couple years ago when they were both part of a different org. Then met back up with them a few years later when I got back into it as well. And then I ended up joining up with Branded, and it's been elusive and heavenly ever since.
Yes, indeed. And then can you tell us, well, we'll get into that later about what we do, what our community is and stuff. But take it away, Hoots.
Yeah, so Hoots, I started playing, it was IE 2951, so that was the tail end of 2021. And I was immediately indoctrinated by Vesper and Nocturtle at the time. I didn't know how to get out of a bed or put a helmet on. It was free fly. And I remember figuring that much out, walking to the ASOPs, and I heard a guy on Prox Comms. He was like, make way, peasants, get out the way. And I was like, who, what? And so I started talking to him in Global. They're like, hey, Gunner, another one of the branded privateers, he just got an 890 jump. Do you want to come aboard the 890 jump? And I was like, what is an 890? Let's do it. So it was almost right out of the gate. And I don't even know why I started playing. I think that's the beauty of the SIG marketing team. Like, Chris was over there doing his hands spaceships and was like, hey, it's time. It's time, Hoots. So yeah, and I've been rolling with Branded ever since late 2021.
That is dope, my friend. Is my mic coming in?
Yep.
Okay. It is keying up. I just can't see it on the other
Just hear
screen.
Mal in the background.
I
Yeah.
got
Yep.
She's like, yeah, we're good. She's the audio engineer here, so
Young Mal.
young Mal. But yeah, Mal. What's funny, Weasel, when we met you in the other org 2017, or what was that? 20. What are we
That
talking
one
about?
was either
Like
2019, 2020.
2020, I think. But yeah, that's Mal has been watching our progression as an org over my shoulder for years. She'll pop popcorn and when she's bored, she'll come and watch us play. And I kind of make her, but she likes it. She likes you guys. She loves the community, just laughing, and she watched the entire operation that we do, like PvP stuff. She's always got a bag of popcorn just watching. But yeah, that's cool, man. So we picked up a number of good people, as you do when you make an org, and if you're doing interesting shit within the verse, right? And Hoots and Weasel have been some of our best privateers ever, and we're very, very selective about our community and who we let in to BP or to branded privateers. It's gate kept very well. All are welcome to come play with us, hang out with us, and do stuff in the verse. But to roll with BP like we do, it's we're very selective about that. So, but with this podcast, I'm going to let Hoots kick it off and kind of guide us as he does, because we've had so many of these crazy discussions about aspects of the game or philosophies on life or whatever. And Hoots seems to always be the conductor who's just orchestrating this conversation. Yes, exactly. He's doing this like Chris. He's just making sure everybody gets a say. And so I thought, why not? Because, Angry's more like tactical, clinical, just straight to the point data. It's like sucking on a data stream. He's like Data, dude, like from Star Trek, actually. He's just like, this is how it is. This is how it will always be. This is what I did. I went left. He went right. We threw a grenade. And then at 3.5 seconds into the raid, I killed 3 people with a knife, and I just moved on. Clinician, right? And then I'm just more of a like sociopath weirdo, I guess. Throw some color in there, splish splash. And then Hoots is like the conductor. So that's kind of the dynamic we're hoping for. But we do have some interesting topics. Lots is going on in the Star Citizen world. If you're a Star Citizen fan, you've probably listened to a lot of shit at nauseum. So hopefully here, this will be a fresh take on some things. We're going to dive into some details. But yeah, Hoots, kick us off. We have a list there we're going to kind of dive through. And you're the conductor, bro.
I feel like I took a trank dart to the net, and I woke up and there was just an agenda in front of me. So I want to talk about where we are first, right? So we're in 322. We got a couple new ships, Santok Yai, X1. We got 15 derelict outposts. How do you feel about the game right now, as it is, as you can log in and play? What are your thoughts, Angry?
I'm gonna be a little biased when it comes to progression of the game. And in my personal opinion, I think the game is in a great spot. You can get into the game, fresh start, start a package, and you can go anywhere. You can buy anything. You can get a little cash in your pocket and then go rent pretty much any ship in the game from the game menu. You don't have to go outside the game to do any of it. And then from that, you can make millions and go buy your own ship. You can bed log. You can relog back in your bed pretty consistently. If it doesn't, it basically puts you back in a very safe location with all of your stuff and your ship because of some of the new 30K protections and stuff like that. If you 30K, which is that terrible word that all the Star Citizen community knows, unless you don't because you're brand new and you just don't know what that is yet. You have protection against that now. So it happens to you and you're like, no, all my progress is gone. Joke's on you. It's not. You can pop back in. All your stuff is back at your home station. Your ship's there with all of its stuff, hopefully. And you basically just pick up right where you left off and go. So I think right now the game's in a really good spot. You can play both your hauler settings, your miner. You can go into your FPS stuff, go through bunkers left and right as much as you want. You can go do some investigation missions. You can go do other mercenary contracts, like going to assassinate people if that's what you're into, or you can go hit some of the new derelict settlements, which are absolutely amazing places because I'm still finding new ones as we go through. and basically just drop into these locations and just explore. There's even streamers and people that are like that are going into like kind of live off the grid mode and basically just like living out of their ship, and that's possible right now in the game. So I think it's in a really good state. Um, yeah, I'm enjoying it.
Daft, is it a buggy mess? How has
Oh,
your experience been so far?
always, always. If you're playing Star Citizen, you just know that. If you played for a while, and like with us having back since 2017, I've been watching the game development since 2012. You know, like if you played for more than a couple months, you know what bugs and you know the workarounds. It's just stayed, you know. So that's still the same. Still horrible mess in a lot of ways, but it's still an amazing sandbox to play in. And when it comes to first person combat, like for a new player, like Angry was saying, there's never been a better time to play Star Citizen. But FPS wise, if you're looking for PVE, it's hot garbage. You know, you never know what you're going to get. The server rate will be so low, or the server frame rate, or the server's just lagging so bad. So PVE is like usually garbage until it's not, and then all of a sudden you're getting maneuvered on by like very advanced AI NPCs that work. When they work, they're so fun to fight. They're so dynamic. And if you're not ready, if you get complacent, you just get smoked in these bunkers. Unless you got teammates and stuff, right? But
And they throw grenades now, which is new to this patch.
oh, I didn't know that. I haven't.
Yeah,
I
Angry,
haven't had them work
how
yet.
wild is it to see a grenade icon on your HUD coming at you from an NPC?
Two things. So they can throw grenades now, and that's terrifying. One, because if the server tick rate's that high, is the server like frame rate is that high, then like they're actively throwing grenades, and they're like while one of them's throwing a grenade, the other one's alternating behind him with his muzzle where you were last seen, just like trying to actively flank you. But I'll throw you one more that you guys probably haven't seen yet. The civilians that are around these little derelict settlements, or the enemies that you might like shoot off their feet or something, they might drop their weapon. They can now run and go pick up drop like downed weapons, and they can start shooting back at you. So that civilian that you saw a second ago that you're like, oh, that's not a threat. Now all of a sudden he has a coda and he's running up next to you and popping you in the face. So there's that too.
The civilians are feeling froggy now all of a sudden.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, little froggy boys.
Yeah,
That's good.
so
Yeah.
yeah, the derelict settlements too, like as far as coming up with ops and finding new places and doing a little exploration, the tiny amount we have, those were a good boon for us, getting those, but kind of unoptimized, if I'm being honest, between the two ops that we've done, the internal op and the third party op. I'm not sure if that's going to improve in the future, but if it does, yeah, those are a lot of great battlegrounds for us. So another big change in our current patch was the time to kill. Some like it, some think it's like, oh, this is like Halo, I'm so skilled. If someone gets the drop on me, I can just turn around and get 8 headshots and then they're dead because they suck, right? What do you guys think about time to kill?
Yeah, I think it's pretty good so far. I think the only person that can really talk on it is Angry, actually, because he had time to kill. And you guys were both in the PvP thick of it. I was in a transport pilot seat for that last op we did. For those of you that don't know, branded privateers, we do a lot of PvP organically in the verse, and then we just do a lot of PvP like scheduled ops against other groups, right? Because that's an avenue to get player versus player if you're looking to get a certain type of it or test something that you're developing, whatever. So we did a big event, and you guys could probably speak on that more than me, but time to kill, I don't know yet. So I'll wait for you guys to say something since you guys actually have PvP'd with it.
Hit me, Angry. What you got?
I don't like it. I'm always I play a lot of like hardcore or like realistic games. Realism is kind of like my focus on these kind of FPS games. Star Citizen was a nice like in between from like Tarkov to like trying to think of another game that's similar. Halo, yeah, Tarkov and Halo is nice like in between, right? Um, if you're prepared and you kind of to watch your corners and stuff like that, you have a good chance of like getting the drop on people and you're pretty well off. If you are also preparing yourself and you've like moved into a bunker and you're moving from cover to cover, um, if somebody does get a drop on you, you have the chance to get down and like, maybe return fire or heal yourself up and get back in the fight. With the new time to kill, it is with the way that they also balance the weapons this patch. It doesn't, it doesn't click right. It doesn't feel like a realistic shooter or like a simulation anymore. It feels more gamey. What I mean by that is like, say you take one of the most common rifles in the game, your P4, your Galant. Instead of taking roughly maybe 10, 15 shots if you're not hitting vital points, it now takes roughly half a mag or more to actually down someone to get them into an incapacitating if you're hitting center mass. We've gotten into recent fights with other people where, depending on where you're hitting them, whether it be in the back of the shoulder, or if they've presented side profile, or they've given you the center profile to them, you start just unloading into them. And we've seen it whereas like one or two guys are unloading roughly 20 rounds of a P4 magazine into somebody close range, and they're not dropping. And they have time at that point while you're reloading, because you can't skip that animation in this game, to med pin back up and get back into fight, and then you have to dump another mag into them. So I personally, I don't like the new time to kill. I think they implemented it too soon. I think if they were going to do that, instead of making players' health pools higher or the resistance to damage higher, they should have added maybe armor values and increased armor ratings. So like, say your heavy armor, instead of doing like 40%, it should have done like 60%. And that would have made it to where, like, depending on what you geared yourself out with, it's still applicable, I guess. And instead of like this, like, now everyone blanket, it doesn't matter if you came prepared or not, you've got more health, you're good to go.
Yeah, that's they talk about that a lot, like the systemic gameplay versus the let's change the numbers in the spreadsheet. And it feels like they spent all this time messing with the guns and the amount of damage they do to body parts, when really they could have just changed resistances on armor and led to actual gameplay decisions. But instead, everyone's kind of a bullet sponge that needs a total mag dump to take them out. And then if you try to take on 2 people, 3 people, the old way is that you could do that. We get, Sir Watson. Let Watson run in there one time against 3 people, and they're all dead. But now he's got to waste a whole mag on one guy, retro out, heal, and you're just dead. So I see where they want to go, and I kind of am. I'm not much of a Tarkov guy. I've played it. I get wrecked every time I play it. So I'm not going complete realism here, but I also don't want like a Destiny boss fight bullet sponge weirdness.
You want it to make sense.
Yeah, peel it back. Yeah. The time, more time to kill means my 2 barrels trained on you is you're dead. Your 1 gun against my 2 guys means you're also dead. Like I kind of get that. I do think it helps with team gameplay, right? Because you're more effective as a team if the time to kill is higher, but it's a little too much.
Yeah, they don't have it polished yet. So I haven't done a lot of PvP with the new time to kill outside of Star Marine. So I've played, multiple hours in Star Marine, and it's weird, man. Running a full mag onto somebody, because in a firefight exchange, like, you're not always going to land everything. They're going to bob and weave and duck, and so like it's almost like I found myself holding fire until I knew that I could have the time to kill. Because if they're running between a doorway, like, I'm not even going to shoot, because that's not enough time to even get effective hits on. You'll just tickle them, and then they know where you're at. And so it really changes the dynamic, which none of us are really like opposed to changing dynamics. But the problem is that Star Citizen doesn't know what the fuck it is. It doesn't. It's always had this problem, like from a PvP, like just these little things in lore. You guys have heard me rant about them. Like they can't explain why things are a certain way. So if you think about it this way, I'll probably ruffle some feathers here if anybody's watching or watching this later. But yeah, Star Citizen has some major fucking lore and like foundational problems that I think a lot of the community just ignore. But like, maybe we can discuss some of these. But basically, like, the first thing out of the gate is they are building a single player experience called Squadron 42 all of their assets are in there. And then they're saying they're going to bring these assets in to a multiplayer huge sandbox with one of the most crafty, toxic player bases that you can get, right? Like people that spend a lot of money and a lot of time playing this game, they know all the loopholes. And so if you develop something, for a single player game, it doesn't always translate to like a multiplayer experience. Like, look at Red Dead Redemption, the first one, and then look at Red Dead Redemption 2. And like, I think they nailed it. Rockstar did a great job of, there's only a couple things in Red Dead Redemption 2 that you can do in single player, but you can't do in multiplayer. But they made the parameters different. So all the stuff that they're bringing into Squadron 42, I think they're going to have to undo. They're basically developing two separate games. Because what we do in Squadron 42 is not going to be the meta. Because gamers in PvP are going to do something different. So if Squadron 42 says, hey, this gun is the best, and this is how you fight the Vandal in our fucking train-tracked narrative story, and then GrieferNet gets their hands on that, or we get our hands on that, and we're going to do something different. Because we're out here defining how to play the game, actually, in the verse, and they're writing us a story on how we should play it. It's like, do you see the disconnect there is so massive. So like, we don't use grav bikes unless we're dropping from orbit with them. Like, that kind of meta shit. We don't do certain things. Like if CIG's like, here's a dropship, we're like, nah, that ain't a fucking dropship, homie. Like that's a fucking Black Hawk helicopter skinned in a futuristic thing, right? It's not real. And so there's this big disconnect. They're going this way, and they're saying it's going to be like this, but the player base is the ones figuring this shit out, right? Like the Cutlass Blue is used by criminals more than cops, but they said this is a law enforcement thing. It's used by criminals. Like if you see someone in a Cutlass Blue in the PU, what are they up to? Piracy.
Yeah.
They're not like going out to stop the law. Like that's the disconnect I like to bring up, dude. It's like, so if Star Citizen really finds out what the fuck it is, then they can make that baseline, right? But they didn't start with an infantryman and then build a cavalry and then build a tank like history did, right? We started with line infantrymen and shields and spears. Like they didn't start with an Apache helicopter back in the day. So imagine if we did it backwards. Like every fucking citizen, like America was birthed, 1775, 1776, we form. And then every citizen, instead of a musket, they're like, we must keep a well-regulated militia. So here's a gladius. And all these colonials flying gladii around, or like you, the citizen, can buy an Eclipse bomber, right? And then, what's the context though? Why do I need to fly this?
Well, make no mistake, they're making it up as they go, right?
Yeah, we get
essentially.
That. Yeah, and I understand that too. But there's doesn't seem like there's like a cohesive plan. There never has been. And that's I don't think that's bad of me to say. I'm not shitting on the development if I'm pointing these things out. I actually love the development. I want the game to succeed. And if people think I'm salty or like if people get pissed about this, that's okay, because these discussions need to happen. That's why me and Echo started this podcast many moons ago, because we wanted to improve ground gameplay. And so to do this time to kill buff and this armor buff, like it's the beginning of a lot of iterations that have to happen. But it's like, what is the game first? Why am I on the ground? How does this respawn tech work? Why is the respawn tech so valuable and not defendable? Right? If I put up my spawn on a Carrack, why is that ship not stronger? Right? If I wear heavy armor, like if that's the heavy armor, why is there not armor piercing ballistics for heavy armor? So I can reduce the time to kill from a full mag to a quarter mag if I place shots well, right?
And that's kind of like that's where the development doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Is because when they introduce this kind of stuff, they introduce like a higher time to kill instead of like increasing the armor values like we were talking about earlier. And have talked about it in the past where they're like, hey, we plan on bringing like freezing ammo, electric ammo, plasma ammo. This will do this more kinetically. This, energy ammo will do X to armor, and it won't do this to shields. And like certain armor types will have more resistances to energy weapons than they will to like kinetic weapons. That's all well and good, but like it again, just like what you're saying, it almost seems like kind of backwards. Like oh hey, let's do the time to kill up so that we can get people more injured and they can experience the medical system better. And it's like okay, that kind of makes sense. Why don't you add in like different armor, like different armor values, different bullet values, different ammo types? Allow us to like experiment with those kind of things and like the alpha build and like stuff like that. It just make ballistics better. Does my P4 or does my FS9 does it have more like penetration than say like a C54, like a Gemini weapon? Is your Karna is that plasma round actually like burning through the armor and scarring the person underneath and giving them burn marks? You don't really have to go into that far, but like we've all heard of like where the game wants to go and like how they want to do with armor and how they want to do with durability and like what was it, durability and like wear and tear, and they want to add that, and they've shown like fleshed out versions of it on ISC and like inside Star Citizen. You're like, well, why didn't you add that first? Like
Yeah,
that would have made more sense.
dude, hundred
Angry.
percent, man.
Well, yeah. We brought up some things. We brought up time to kill, um, armor resistances, and then Daft triggered me when he said Arena Commander. So I know
Yeah.
you play a lot of Arena Commander. Why am I seeing so many boys with cheeks out, no legs on, no arms, but heavy chest and heavy helmet? Tell me why, and then why don't I see them in PU?
You want to take that one, or you want me to?
Yeah, we'll both take it. You go ahead though, because
Okay.
this is a good one. I got a good
So
one for this.
every MMO that's ever been made, especially when it comes down to like a one that has vehicles and ground personnel or just gear in general, has this thing called a meta. And everyone that gets into a video game wants to chase the meta. Now, the thing that I like about Star Citizen is the fact that it actually goes against the metadata because it changes a little bit every once in a while. And before this higher TTK was enabled, you could do the meta in Arena Commander. You could do it in Star Marine, whatever you want to call it. Where, like you were saying, Hoots, you can run around and basically heavy helmet, heavy chest, bare arms, and bare ass, and just take off. You're faster. You have a lower hit registry, and the parts that are important to you are your head and your body. But you can still move like you were in basically light armor, which is why they do it. Um, However, Star Marine and Marine Commander are supposed to be a simulation of the PU so that you can practice FPS combat and ship combat without actually killing your guy if and when Death of a Spaceman comes in. So chasing that meta, it only works in your simulation or your arcade type, because when they transferred over to the PU before the TTK got pushed up, it didn't translate at all. Like we were saying earlier, if I walk into Jump Town and Homeboy has got the heavy chest and heavy helmet on, they learn really fast that you're now, as we got into that first firefight, maybe you took down the first guy that came through the door, but you're not going to take down the other four now because you got hit in the arms, you got hit in your weapon, you got hit in your legs because the spray hit all those, and now you're slowed down so your arms don't move as fast, or you're blacked out on your arm, or you're bleeding out faster because you got a tier 1, which now you actually drop your weapon, if you guys didn't know that.
Yeah, you can't aim it.
Yeah, you can't aim
Yeah.
it, and eventually he straight up will, if you have a weapon up, he'll just drop it to the ground, and now you're
Yeah.
just like walking around with a little slinging arm. Um, But yeah, so you can't.
Yeah.
The nice thing about Star Citizen was the fact that in their arcadey type Call of Duty game mode, where you can get in there and you just practice, shoot, 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 kill everybody, do all your things, like run around corners, do the little jump and sprint around the corner, and everything. That's cool.
It
Get
used to
better on the trick.
match. Is what you're
Yes, and
saying.
then when
It
you
used to
pushed
match.
over into like the actual like what is considered like the simulation, or your simulation in the real life or whatever, it didn't translate, because just like in the real world, if I tried to pull Call of Duty tactics by running into a room and sliding into the front door, I'm gonna get domed like the second like I run in, because and not only maybe it's not as experienced shooter, but say I like slide into the door, most people will shoot at the hip or the chest level. So if I just slid into the door, guess what's at the head and the chest level now? My
Your
face.
head.
Just to be sure I understand, you're telling me you wouldn't breach a door wearing whitey tighties? Is that what you're telling me right now?
Yeah.
Only if someone breaks into my house, and then like that's to scare them. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, to elaborate on what Weasel's saying is, they used to, the PU and Star Marine used to match until the medical system came in. And so the meta in Star Marine is now different, because you actually want to protect your legs and your arms in the PU because of the injury you can sustain. Tier 3, 2, and 1, right? And now you drop your weapon. There's consequences that are steeper in the PU because of the medical system, which is good. But the meta in Star Marine still is speed. That's it. And so the only benefit they get from, wearing no legs and running around with no arms armor is speed, and weapon manipulation is a little quicker. And so, yeah, it does translate into the verse in the PU in certain ways. Like if it's a one-on-one fight and you both know you're there, then it just turns into like a little mini version of Star Marine. So running and, with no legs and no arms on and being super fast is still going to get you the drops. But like, you want to be a pixel clicker and click the pixels faster than the other guy, right? All the time. But what negates that is that if you have a team of people backing you up who are actually watching a sector and, supporting each other, then it's almost null and void. But so you survive. I've survived. I've seen people survive in the PU just by like running around in their underwear or a beacon suit and like just running up to you and zipping around so fast, because it also has a very, very problem with speed. It has a real problem with speed and maneuverability.
Desync as well, coupled with it.
Mm-hmm. And so the meta in Star Marine or in the verse, it really has less to do with the armor chosen or how it's worn, and it has everything to do with maximizing your speed and protection so you can use desync for your advantage. Because the game is a little bit predictive, and probably Katsumushi, one of our guys who's a super good developer, not for Star Citizen, but just in general, he's a developer by career choice. He talks about this and how the server communicates to one another, and how you coming around the corner, the server kind of predicts that. But if you change something, last minute, the server can't predict it in time to update your client. So if the server's predicting that me and Weasel are going to meet around this corner, but Weasel runs and jumps, the server can't quite predict that. So on my screen, I don't even see Weasel. He's jumped over here now, like where he would have been. I'm shooting at his last known position while the server tells my client that he's actually behind me, right? Like that's kind of like a really rudimentary way to explain it, but that's what it was told to me. So there's problems with the back end and there's problems with the speed. If they slowed down the speed, it already feels slow though. It's kind of hard. Like, how do you, I don't know. That's a development issue, but yeah, that's the meta though. It's like, I hate the meta. It's dumb, because if you give, this is the thing I think is going to happen. If the meta in Squadron 42 is to do this, like how does that translate into multiplayer? Like go play Ark Survival or another MMO where there is a meta. The people that are serious about PvP are doing completely different meta than the people that are just playing the game for the experience.
Right.
So, and to hit on that, it goes against and this has been like CIG videos for the past like 2-3 months now, and ever since CitizenCon, is we want your choices to matter. We want you to be prepared for the battle that you anticipate or the adventure that you're going on. So prepare yourself, get the right ship, have the right supplies, be prepared for what you're getting into. And that sounds like an awesome game. That sounds like an amazing game. And it kind of used to be that way. And in Branded, we actually do that. When we get ready for an op or we get ready to go out in the verse, like our guys are already set up, they're ready to go. And it's mainly so that we don't waste each other's time, because that's a big concern. But being prepared for the situation that you're going into should allow you to have the advantage. And I feel like with that higher TTK, and this is kind of like the last I'll get on it, but like the higher TTK, it takes away from your preparedness. Like if I'm more prepared than you, no offense, you already lost. And especially if I got the drop on you, you definitely lost. And
It,
that's
it
okay.
it takes away the ambush advantage, right? You don't get extra points for coordinating a well thought out, well planned ambush anymore.
No, there's
No, not at all.
no, the time to kill, like a good reflex gamer who understands the desync, he's very hard to kill. Now in Star Marine, where you have multiple goes, like it's just pure chaos for 15 minutes, 20 minutes. It's not like that in the verse, but if someone is paying attention, they can react out of something way faster now. So the time to kill is longer, so the time to react and survive is actually longer. And so it's like, yeah, it just looked weird. And like we did an op against a group called Triple R. Shout out to them. I hope they see this podcast because we liked fighting them. But they posted some highlights which were cool. And there's one where a guy is literally laying prone. And this was largely due to desync. So it's a mixture of desync and time to kill. And one of our privateers has the drop on him. The guy's looking straight ahead from his first person POV, and he gets lit up. You can hear a P4. Someone mag dumps him point blank, just with a P4 in the ass, like behind, point blank. And he has time to get up and react, and he runs all the way around a rock and then like shoots our guy with a P6 point blank like a sniper because of the desync. So our guy's still like wondering where what's going on because of the lag and everything. And of course, we were on one of the new objectives or the new points of interest, the Weeping Cove Cutter's Rig. That's actually the start menu. We were doing a PvP there on that island. The frame rates were so bad, but for them, it's a cool clip, but I kind of feel bad that like, that's their cool clip. It's like, you know, a patch ago, you'd be dead 1,000 times. And that's that because he had the ambush on you, right? A full mag of a P4 point blank will get anybody, heavy, medium, or light, doesn't matter. And so there's that. And then the desync. And so that guy probably feels like he dodged a bullet. That's cool. But to me, I'm like, that I wouldn't even post that. I'd be like, dude, that's not natural. Like, that guy's wearing Mithril or something, you know? Like he's
like Jim Carrey in The Mask. He's just like absorbed it all.
Yeah, he's just nah. And so yeah, like it's a cool highlight. But personally, I wouldn't have posted that. I'd be like, that was jank as fuck. Like, give me some clean kills and I'll highlight those. But it seemed like it was kind of hard to get clean kills with the frame rates doing what they were doing. And so we should probably find some different spots that are optimized better than some of these new places. And we'll get some fights in for sure. But yeah, these are great questions though. It's like, what are we really dealing with time to kill? And like, what does that mean? Yeah, dumping tons and tons of, like Halo, it works because it's consistent at least. And you're trying to defeat something. Like if your shield is down, you cannot survive even just a little bit of fire, right? Like, you know, a burst from an assault rifle will put down a Spartan without a shield on, right?
Right. Well, we're Chris's guinea pigs, so
yeah,
we know where we are. We know what the state of the game is. I mean, where do you think the time to kill is going? Like, are they gonna reel it back? Is it gonna be worse? Are they waiting for different ammo types, like Angry said? Like, where are we headed?
What do you think, Angry?
I think, like most things with CIG and most things with Star Citizen, that they are on a road to make it better. It's ill implemented, and it's, instead of being fully consistent of like, hey, in 3.22 we're going to release a patch where the time to kill is higher so that we can get you guys used to increased armor values in 3.23, and in 3.24 we're going to add more to the medical system where like X blah 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 blah. If that was said, you wouldn't hear this discussion from me at all. I'd be like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Cool.
Yeah.
And
Is
I
there a
hope
roadmap like that we're missing? Have they come in with details like that?
no. And there's only been rough mentions in like rumor mill on like Reddit and Spectrum from where like you can see like a CIG dev like pop in there and be like, hey, what do you guys think of the medical system? Or like, hey, what do you guys think of time to kill and stuff like that? And they're like, okay, hey, like this isn't the final iteration. It's like cool. Then instead of saying that, like give us some kind of like, and I'm hoping that like, because there's supposed to be an Inside Star Citizen tomorrow where they go into FPS gameplay, and I'm hoping that like everything we just talked about is
Is
hit on right
addressed.
there.
I
Yeah.
hope
So
so.
it's like, okay, thank God. Like thank you for at least acknowledging that like this is not your final product and this is not where like you guys think it's supposed to be, because it shouldn't be at all. Like I would much rather pre 318 before medical system time to kill than what is currently on there. Just saying.
Well, to be fair to SIG, they did send a SIG employee into our Discord and ask us what we thought of the medical system when Siege of Orison was running. And we were all like, holy shit, we get injured all the time. Where are the med beds? Like it is like I don't know, the way damage stacks on appendages and places on your body. It's just like the whole time I was looking for a med bed, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
And
and
to be fair too, he asked about time to kill, I think. But we
Yes.
ended up discussing medical issues.
We ended up doing exactly this.
Yeah.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I think he had a clarifying statement after where
Yeah,
he was like, no. I like, how often are you getting damaged? What is it like being damaged? Like
Okay.
there
that's
was a
what it
sort
was.
of a
Yeah, that's
And
what it
that
was.
right there, like, okay, and this is something I did notice when we were doing the op. Okay, so higher time to kill means that I get hit more, which means that like when we were on the rig and I got shot by a sniper, I got shot in the leg one time, tier 3 injury, left leg. I get shot another time, tier 3 injury, right leg. Now I'm a cripple. And then I get shot a third time and I finally go down and my health is like ticking down as it goes, but I get a tier 2 in my right leg. Okay, I've never seen myself with a tier 3 and a tier 2 in my leg before I was in capped. And I think we even told him in the
Mm.
Discord that like before 3.23, I would only get a tier 3 chest after I got up from an in cap state, or I would have a tier 2 arm or a tier 3 head
Yeah.
because the AI went Terminator on me. But I would only see that after an in cap state.
Yeah, or a stacking injury. So you get in capped, and you're like, oh, I have a tier 3 chest. And then on Orson, which happened a lot, you get up again, you get downed again, and now you're like, I have a tier 2 or a tier 1 chest because it's like stacked on top of that tier 3, right?
Right.
That was the only time I ever saw tier 2s and 1s until it seems like from your footage that was happening more. So you are just so that what I think they accomplished with time to kill is that yeah, we want people to use the medical system more. But also, what we were telling him is we're lacking the tools to like do anything about it. Because I can just zap you with a gun and hope to balance out your medical. I can administer the right drug and give you, but that wears off over time and you run out of medical supplies and like all this stuff happens. So, is there any other tools I could do? Is there an armor that could buff me and splint my legs?
Splint a tourniquet, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So even if I have a tier 1, because I chose that armor to negate those effects, I still have mobility, albeit maybe less, but that's super crucial, especially on Orison. We were running out of medical supplies. And so, there was 12 of us just limping to the Orison is fucking miles and miles. And like, good luck getting a golf cart. And if you have 12, it's like half of them are injured. It's like, who gets the golf cart? It's like who got the golden ticket can get on that golf cart and get there faster. But
I just have Brone behind me just injecting drugs straight into me. And I don't even know where I am, looking for a gym with the med bed, so I can heal some of this stuff, or looking for evac because now I have T1s. None of these beds work for me, right? I have to leave.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I'm getting at is like, without telling us, we know that we hope, but more than likely we know that the higher time to kill is on the road to allowing us to do that. And I'm guessing that with the new FPS and stuff, and the Squadron 42 hitting polish mode, now they actually have time to actually get back and to see the armors and go, okay, hey, like what is this armor supposed to do? Why did you
Yeah.
choose Morozov over ADP? Why did you, why do you have why are you running light? Because if right now you're running light armor, you're just trying to run fast and you're basically asking you to get one shot. But like maybe you run, light armor because it doesn't have the detection system or whatever. Or maybe it's a medical armor that's medium and it has like, auto tourniquets or auto splints or whatever. Like one time use, it's done. And then afterwards basically have to get rid of that pair of pants and like get a new pair of pants, or fully repair it somewhere. I don't know. But like if you're going that way, like that's the kind of stuff that like the ground guys, dude, hint at that. Like show us a concept image of it, show us
Yeah.
like, hey, like this is the great, gray box stage of here your tactical pants. And like, dude, like I will play, build my, what is it, build my operator or whatever for like hours if you
Oh
do
yeah.
that.
That's
We
where
don't get
There we
that.
go.
yeah.
My little operator. There we go.
My little operator. Dude, that's where
Yeah,
we
it's,
want the granularity. That's where we want to have meta. If the meta is avoiding like half the shit in your game, that's bad meta. But if meta is achieved by like using a variety of your tools and like there's also like an equal counter to that meta or something that could if Hoots comes around the corner with a meta my little operator build, but I know there's a different way around that meta or negating that, like that's good gameplay to me. Right? If a certain build can be used for a specific thing, like can I pick a series of armors and ammo types and undersuits that complement me being on a planet for a sustained time? You've heard on this podcast before, if you've listened, like how the fuck am I supposed to eat and drink on a planet in a space
gravity,
suit?
man.
You-
Just
you-
handstand push-ups and just drink your own pee, man. You're good.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
You want that rock paper scissors type gameplay.
Yeah,
You want like a rough sketch of an objective. Figure out what all the parameters are, and then build your plan around that with the tools Sig gives you.
yes, and just like real life, like there has to be constants, right? Like what's the constant in Star Citizen FPS right now? Well, the constants are the NPCs will not work, the frames will not work, and everything that's constant about PvP in Star Citizen is like desync will kill you more than the skill of your enemy. Like you could prep all day and get like 6 guys right into SPK, do whatever. And then some guy in an undersuit who knows how to exploit the game, he can come running by you. Like I've literally lost fights in full kit to a guy in a beacon undersuit. I have a fully automatic. This is before they nerfed the FS9. And I'm trying to hit him and he is bobbing and weaving like whack-a-mole, dude. And he's running around and he'll come and punch me to death.
You saw me
problem.
live lose that exact fight.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember, but SPK, this dude was jumping on consoles. He was just ping-ponging all around the place. And I was trying to hit him with an FS9.
Yeah.
Right.
Prince of Persia and around, dude, like running on walls. And like if there's an armor that allows that, like that'd be cool. But go ahead, Weasel. Sorry.
No. It triggered me. So all right. So as you know, we at Branded, we like to drop in very fast on things and basically, spew out a bunch of branded fire teams and kick ass and kill everybody, right? We have to do a certain emote in order to basically keep ourselves in place. Now, you guys put that in the game, but you don't have the same mechanics for, say, if a guy in a diaper suit's running around a corner and Hoots unloads on him with a shotgun, a P6, or a light machine gun that has, I don't know, let's say the equivalent of a 7.62 round, and he's just tanking rounds. You're just like Terminator, you're like, T1000, just, little ripples of mercury just popping over. He's just like, I'm coming to get you. You're like, please stop. Like, put that, like, that's where that mechanic should have gone. Like, that's 100% where all the assets for that mechanic should have gone. And instead you put it in like, oh, hey, like they're always in ships and they want to walk around. Let's fling them to the floor every time
Let's
we take a
throw them
turn.
on their ass immediately.
Yeah, and like we understand like this is an alpha game, it's in testing and all that shit. That's cool. But dude, like there's got to be a constant, like there's got to be something. Like the foundation is not getting fixed. So are they taking this test data and putting it in Squadron 42? Because then guess what's going to happen to PU? Like I said earlier, they're going to try and translate. They're going to use a multiplayer data and experience to craft the lore and the gameplay for a first-person single-player experience. And then they're going to take the single-player experience and try to, like, put it into the PU, and it's going to fucking change all over again because they don't... CIG just implements shit, and they don't understand their player base, right? They understand the Care Bears. Oh, I'm going to go fly to the planet and I'm going to be just chilling here doing nothing and I'm going to be mining. But then there's this whole other combative sides like the pirates and the griefer nets and the griefers and everybody and even us. Like we understand and exploit certain game mechanics that get us an advantage. That's okay. That's part of gaming. But like if I'm building an A2 bomb and I go, where does this bomb need to be used? Well, it needs to be used in gravity. Okay. So that's what they said. Oh, the A2 can only be used in gravity. Well, guess what has gravity grids? Fucking landing pads.
And your space stations.
And your space stations and SPK. So if you're on SPK and there's a bounty and you hover over the gravity grid, which is like 10 feet, 20 feet, a couple, like maybe 20 meters, that the gravity of the landing pad will get down on. Like we had 12 privateers holding SPK, challenging the server, and shame on us for not knowing this exploit at the time. And then we had someone drop an A2 bomb in the gravity grid and destroy everybody. So instead of having 12 people hold off an entire server of 60, 70 people plus that were rallying in their fighter, there was already a huge amount of combat happening in the airspace around Korea. Right? But because CIG doesn't understand how people exploit their game or how they could, they don't think, like there's nobody at CIG saying, hold on, let's define that differently. Let's say it has to be armed in gravity, and then it has to have a minimum arming distance to fall for that bomb to be effective.
Right.
Because that's also a real life thing on a bomb.
Just let it thud on the ground, unexploded.
Exactly. Or even a grenade launcher has a minimum arming distance. And most video games get that correct. Where they're...
I think the GL, doesn't it act more like a beanbag gun? Like if you're super close, right? It won't detonate. Yeah,
I don't
do
think
that with A2 and A1 bombs.
Damage.
Here's the other thing that is irritating about that situation in general. Okay, Jumptown, for instance, or any other outpost that you go out on, if it has an airlock, basically, okay? Which doesn't make sense in this kind of scenario, but I'll use it anyways. JT, for instance. I go into JT. Everybody knows JT is safe. Here comes friendly A2. Friendly A2 drops bomb. Anyone outside inside of a vehicle, hardened or otherwise, dead. Cool thing that CIG did add in that is the fact that if they're within defilade, the explosion blast will actually go over them and it won't kill them. Awesome mechanics, great physics. Good job on you. Your blast wave didn't work, and like because you're on a certain periphery of the explosion, didn't kill you. Fucking amazing. However, everybody inside that building, or that was inside the airlock at the time, as long as the outer door was closed, perfectly safe. Cool. If that's your game mechanics you want to go with, because you don't want to add destructible buildings or yada yada, or that's coming in the future, cool, whatever. Add a new location, revamp SPK. So this is the new SPK that we were on when this happened. And now same A2 comes in, friendly A2, drops bomb, blows up on gravity grid outside. You have 12 privateers inside of an airlock. Somehow they all die. How does that work? And what does that tell you? And what does that tell you about your gameplay mechanics? And like, is my counter working? Is my counter just luck? Like, what is going on? Like, where are the rules for that?
Yes, that's the hard part about playing. The rules change. It's like, You know, if you're watching, like, pick a trilogy. Like, I don't know. You're watching fucking anything. A trilogy, a movie,
The Matrix. Let's do the Matrix trilogy.
The Matrix, right?
Yep.
Well, the Matrix is actually a bad example because the rules change in every movie. That's part of the Matrix. So we'll pick like Harry Potter. You're watching the Harry Potter sequence, and then, like, you know, the fifth movie, all of a sudden Harry Potter like pulls out an E11 blaster like a stormtrooper and starts blasting, and then Ron Weasley has a lightsaber. You just broke the rules. Or the perfect example is the new Star Wars trilogy that Disney fucking shit out. Piece of shit movies. Anyway, I hope that offends all of you. But they, you know, they revealed to us in the 8th installment of Star Wars that hyperspace, jumping into hyperspace, can actually be used as a weapon and destroy an entire fleet.
Dude, spoilers. Jeez.
Yeah, spoilers. If you haven't watched it, don't. I'll save you some time. Don't fucking watch it. But like, what? Do you know how many, if there was hyperspace accidents like that, do you know how quick the militaries would have weaponized that? Oh, there's a Death Star floating around. Put R2-D2 on a fucking ship and blow that Death Star up with a hyperspace jump right into it. You don't need to do a trench run. You don't need Jedi anymore. You just need a fucking droid to fly a spaceship into a fucking space station, and it's dead. So the same thing is happening in Star Citizen. Why should I hardpoint anywhere if the rules are different? Like, I'm never going to hardpoint at SPK now, which is the place you need to hardpoint because that's where you clear your crime stats and you do a lot of gameplay. But it's not safe. Jumptown is safer than SPK because if you're there making a ruckus, you know, they come in and blow you up. So there's got to be some consistency. Like, the world has to make sense. Because another thing too, maybe I want your guys' opinion on this, but like, the most valuable resource in Star Citizen, once it goes live and Death of a Spaceman is there, your spaceman is the most valuable thing. That's your progress in the game. That's your money. That's everything. People are going to be very protective of the time they spend in their spaceman, no matter what iteration they come forward. The world still allows us in lore, right, that this is new technology as of like 2952 or whatever they released it in, that like regenerative technology is like brand new, right, in the Star Citizen lore. It's like the biggest discovery ever. So I doubt there's a single CIG dev out there. This is a challenge to anybody who's played Star Citizen or who's someone out there who's scoured the internet for every drop of information on Star Citizen. And if you're a CIG dev, if you happen upon this, this is a challenge to you. Who at CIG has thought about the actual impacts of that type of technology entering humanity's hands, story-wise? Because story equals lore and lore equals gameplay and all that stuff. It's all built on that. Like, there's a story behind why we do certain things in the verse, right? And if everybody, if an army, if the United Empire, Earth Empire, the UEE, suddenly had the ability to regen every citizen 9 to 10 times, I think that's what they're toying with still with Death of a Spaceman, right? Before you're like, your body is so haggard that you can't regen, right?
It's DNA degradation or something like that, basically.
Right.
Like, you have to renew your,
Yes.
so you'd have to like go back to your home station or basically recopy or rewrite your
Right.
data onto, you know, whatever.
Dude, so imagine how that would change warfare. Your army, let's say you have 1 million people in your army, just for simple numbers. You got a milli. Now every one of those people can die 10 times.
Yeah,
You have
I mean,
10
we
million
already
army.
throw people against a wall of bullets with their one life. You know,
Yeah.
imagine if they have 10 lives, right?
Exactly. And so now the biggest asset for your military has nothing to do, maybe resources and munitions and other things, right? Those logistical supply lines are still targets for military. And assets, like why do you invade? Why did we invade on Normandy, right? Versus like Holland, or like, why did we do certain things? Like, we had to liberate and capture certain places for logistical reasons, right? Why is Afghanistan valuable, right? Because it's sitting on lithium, it's sitting on opium, right? Like, there's reasons to go to war other than just like morality that they paint. So there's reasons for us. Why was Jumptown so fucking valuable? The original OG Jumptown. It was a resource multiplier. You could go there and make as much money as you wanted, and there was no stupid armistice zone. So it was free combat and free money if you had the right people. So that's what gave us a point of interest. Like making a derelict ship in the middle of nowhere, and it's not a point of interest, you know? Oh, did we drop the call? I popped out the player. Oh, there we go. We're back.
Sorry, Daft, we lost you for a second.
Oh, okay, cool. I'm back now. All right.
Yeah.
Sweet. So like when they give us a point of interest, it's not really a point of interest. It's a point of like tourism. Go there for a short visit and kill some NPCs and collect a box, right? Like it's not a point of interest. It's not a tactical stronghold. It might be, but there's no reason for me to tactically hold that position unless it's giving me resources. I think the closest thing they have is like the Ghost Hollow where you just get free money, right? If we went in there and we just controlled that for a day, you make that's like kind of the original Jumptown's idea. But anyway, I'm kind of digressing here. The amount, like the whole warfare and strategy would change, right? Now, all of this equipment that you use would be obsolete because it's cheaper to send soldiers in rather than tanks. I can have a soldier respawn, respawn and die 10 times. I can lose 0 tanks and take the objective, or I can send a tank in, lose a tank. Like a tank is harder to build than a human now. Do we understand that concept in Star Citizen?
Well, no, because we 3D print tanks now, right? We 3D print all our ships. The insurance people are just there with their...
You're talking about right now, but like I'm talking about in Star Citizen, it's easier for me to send a body than to go land at a landing zone, get a Nova tank.
Time cost, yes.
Time and cost, right? So why not just respawn and send a Gladius in there, like infinite, right? So the ability to respawn quickly would be so valuable. It's such a tactical asset that has 0 explanation. Why can I respawn on a space station and versus a Carrack? There used to be a limit on the distance. I think you could only be 20 kilometers away from a Carrack a couple patches ago. They fixed that. There's no distance limitation. And so we don't understand how that lore works. Is it because the size of the regeneration station that's baked into an Everest Harbor-like station? Or can that shit fit in the back corner of a Carrack? We don't know. Because a Carrack I can spawn on all the time, and Everest Harbor I can spawn on all the time. But I'd rather spawn on Everest Harbor because Everest Harbor has an armistice zone and like an invisible wizard bubble that you can't kill me in unless I get into space. Right.
We know it. Yeah, we know that's going away too, and we know that armistice zones are eventually going away. But also, like, I think the way to do that, especially, is if they're gonna go with that route, if you're gonna go with, hey, there's regeneration, you can clone yourself 1,000,000 times, and after like X number of deaths, your stuff gets transferred to your heir or whatever. I think that's like what the original Death of the Spaceman thing theory is gonna be like. It's kind of like Man or
like
Lord and stuff like that.
Yeah, you're descendant.
And you get a degrade in like certain reputations because it's not actually you, it's like part of your family, blah blah blah. You might like lose like a couple mil or whatever. But if you're gonna do that, how about you make the game like that? Especially because of the way that they continue to talk about like preparedness and like, hey, we want your choices to matter. You know what would really make your choices matter with an unlimited respawn of cloning, basically, and like being able to just re-replicate data or your DNA is you get 2.
Yeah.
You get two lives, two DNA sequences, and they only work is if like you're in Comare and you didn't die out in deep space where there was no data basically getting transferred back to like say, hey, this guy died, like respawn him. If the Comare is down, or say like the data nodes that are like in place to basically say, hey, homeboy just died on planet Van Duel Prime, he needs to be respawned real quick. If those nodes are down, how about you have to manually do it? And like, you as like a new player, your heir basically, say you have to go back and like respawn like, your uncle. Um, but also like make it matter, like if I die, like I lose credits. I lose credit lines, I lose, reputation bonuses, like I lost my ship. It's gone. Like whatever ship I was in, if it blew up, like we don't know where it's at anymore. We can't file an insurance claim for it, yada yada yada. It's gone. Like
Hmm.
you have to I
Well,
hate
what
to
would
say that.
gamers do though with that system?
Well, they're gonna
Like
do
if
exactly what they do with the subscriber armor. They're gonna, like, oh, I don't want to take my subscriber armor outside of the station because I'll lose it. Oh no!
I
Like
tell you what
CIG,
they
why don't you
won't
give me
do.
give me like a patch or give me like something to like respawn
Yeah,
it?
they won't drop nukes on pads and be killing themselves as much, which
I
is
think
what
they'll
I'm
do it
looking
more.
forward to.
I think they'll do it more.
Well,
I'll
so they
raise
have
you.
Certain groups will.
infinite response now, right?
Yeah, but
So
they
if they have limited where there is something to lose, whether it's I
but
don't know,
how
reputation, money, skill, ships that belong to you. Maybe you aren't the great grandniece of your character now. Like maybe it's a whole new family line. You
yeah.
I don't know how they're gonna do it, but to me it's a punitive step, right? They want you to feel that death. So you won't be so cavalier with your life. You're not just going around murder hoboing, dropping nukes,
But
right?
if you have an
That's the
alt,
end game.
you have an alt that will, and it's a living, breathing economy, and like I can send that alt 60 mil to go buy all the ships. Like there, if there's griefers now with no consequences, there's going to be more griefers when the consequences are high.
Oh yeah,
It's a
right.
bigger salt payoff,
But
right?
I'm saying
Yeah.
goal. You're thinking of the goal of the thing.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking of wow,
Yeah,
Sig,
how
you
can we
can't put
manipulate this?
collision on SBK so that a bomb, a bomb blast can't traverse it, right? To me, that's a developmental issue. That's not a goal issue, right? I'm
Yeah.
sure they're sitting there thinking like, yeah, we also wouldn't
Mhm.
want bombs to go through a building, correct?
Yeah.
I'm thinking just
But
goal oriented.
goal oriented, yeah. And so like I think a lot of content creators out there talking about Star Citizen, they want to talk about the end game, but like a big focus point of this podcast is to talk about the current state of the game and what people are doing, right? And like what gamers will actually do with the piece of tech that CIG installs, right? And so imagine Death of a Spaceman comes online because there's this drastic divide in how people play the game currently. Like you're either die hard hunting for players and for salt, or you're like oblivious to that world because you just go do your little mining and you're Care Bear, right? And then there's us that's kind of in this gray area, if you will, where we want to play a certain way, we want to engage in combat a certain way, but we don't do the exploits. We don't play like that. And so if Death of a Spaceman is a thing and I want to go do combat like the game prescribes me, I want to bob and weave and flank and maneuver and get to the planet and drop ships and use the tools to play like immersively, right? But somebody in a pajama suit can kamikaze into me and take out my character that has 2 or 10 deaths, a limited amount of those, right? Like, and it's no cost to him, but it's a cost to me. That's troublesome, right? So kind of tying back into this like whole thing I was asking earlier is like, if the respawn and the tech works a certain way, why can I not protect that more? Give me the means to. Like I'm going to go earn it, right? Like, but a size 9 torpedo can take out every ship in the game. So you can be in a beacon undersuit and buy access to an Eclipse bomber. And if I bring in my 890 jump to land somewhere and it has all of my progress for that session on there, that's stupid because somebody will swoop in and fucking blow that shit out of the sky at no cost to them and no nothing. and then I'm just fucked. And I think that's going to carry on forever and forever. So you're going to have the single player version of Squadron 42, and then you're going to have people never fighting because they don't ever want their character to get in debt. So they're going to make alt accounts to go be the cannon fodder. Like, I'll just send this guy some gear. I'll give him money to buy his own gear, and then I don't want my main character to lose progress. And now we have alt accounts. I don't know. I'm speculating here, but
yeah, I mean the alt account eventually turns into their main account. At that point, they've sent him all this money, all these ships, all this gear to be their alt account, and then now it's like, well, shit, that's just my main account.
Well, that's their pyro account, right? He's out there in
You're right,
pyro,
exactly.
right? He's in combat. He's living the dream. He's dying every second Wednesday or even more. But then, you know, Count A is just sitting in Stanton or in like secure space, just steadily mining, making money. It's weird.
I think this is where it comes down to, like, right now, the current game that we have, the current systems that we have are too small. And that sounds stupid because when you think about the size of Star Citizen, it's immense. And if you haven't played it yet, get in there on a free flight and go fly around for a second and realize how fucking massive that game is, and then realize that there's a second system right around the corner that's 10 times bigger. So when we think about all that and everything, like the way that you start to challenge people, and the way that they loosely implemented it with the prison system is like, okay, you remove that person from the equation for X amount of time. Now in prison, it's way too easy to break out. You guys all know that. We've done it 1,000 times, and it's way too easy to cheese it with an alt account with merits. So that doesn't really work. If they're in the same system as you, like, they're just gonna get out eventually. If they know what they're doing, they're gonna get out very quickly, and they're gonna be back in your face. The nice thing about Star Citizen, the nice thing about games like Arma or other games that we tend to play, and I think a lot of people like that like Star Citizen tend to play, is more of a realism aspect and more of a simulation aspect. Meaning that, like, unlike Call of Duty or unlike Battlefield, when I shoot you and you die, you don't just pop up at the fob, 2 kilometers away, and now you're back in my face because you took the little bird, you suicide the little bird into the tower, and now your parachuter back right down my face, and you know exactly where I'm at because I'm loosely in the roughly the same area if I'm trying to capture that point, because I have to be there, you don't. If you take that person that, say, suicides into your 890, or you kill that person, or that was trying to suicide into your 890, and they all of a sudden, like, now it's like their 10th spawn, or say like that regen tech is only available at like core systems, like way the fuck, like 3 or 4 6 jump gates away, that makes it more interesting. That makes it to where it's like, I could ram you and maybe I get some satisfaction out of it, but now, like, I have no money because I've done this 1,000 times. I'm back in a core system. I have a reputation for now ramming ships in X number of places, so I can't even get out of the core system because every time I get in my ship, security blows it away. So now I have to grind in order to get my reputation back, just so I can take off. Like, they've talked about stuff like that, and if they just started implementing shit like that, that would be amazing. Make it to where like make that reputation system a thing to where, like, it punishes players for being dipshits. Like, it sucks, and I hate to say that, like, we need to punish people for doing that kind of stuff, but it also makes it kind of cool. Like, hey, I made a choice, and now I get to work my way out of it, and now I get to have more gameplay because I'm a
Yeah.
homeless vet now, and I have to, like, work my way back up
Right.
into whatever, so I can
Let's
take off
make
from this
the
planet.
world. The world should punish you, not the
Yes.
devs, not
Yes.
the players. Like, it's the world. But like, let's take that same scenario, right? Like, Hoots is Mr. Kamikaze. He's out there. He's on his alt. He's got 6 alt accounts, just going nuts, right? Because that's up his alley, actually.
It's my thing.
No, I'm just kidding. But and then me and Weasel, we just loaded up our 890 jump, and we have traveled 6 systems to get where we're at. You have traveled the same distance in your alt, and you're just sitting there in your beacon or whatever, and we have an entire ship full of stuff that we have scavenged. And if there's some sort of weird loophole that we don't like, Hoots ends up blowing up our ship at little cost to us or to him. He doesn't lose shit, but we just lost the same amount. We lost infinitely more. And then our regens are set back 6. Like, do you see like the the risk, like if I choose to go play the game now, if I go spend time to load up a Carrack with vehicles and like go, first off, we don't have the space to go explore anyway. But like, if I go spend time to play the game how I'd like to, somebody can take that away from me with no cost. That's what I'm getting at, right? They can fly a ship into me or shoot a torpedo out. They just have to claim their ship and they get fresh torpedoes, right? So the amount of effort that we have put into prepping our gear and equipment in this logistical simulator that we call Star Citizen can be easily undone by a bug or by another player chancing upon that. Now, we have workarounds, and we have people that stay on those ships and they never go anywhere near an OM point. They're out in untraceable space, right? Like, there's ways you can combat this. We're not helpless, right? But the cost, like, people will lose progress and the person with the alt account won't. So they need to really make this very punishing. So time is a punishment because right now there's no time difference. Like anywhere in Stanton, it's like maybe 10 minutes away, right? You claim your ship, that's 5 minutes. 10 minutes, you're back there again. Like there's not really a big time punishment, especially if you have multiple ships and they're not 10 minutes away. Like if you're over above Everest Harbor, you're down on Hurston, and my spawn is set at Everest Harbor, and I come in and kamikaze you, I can spawn back again and come in and kamikaze you again and again and again, right? Or just harass you. If the comm array's down, like there's no. If I die, I'm not going to prison. I'm going to Everest Harbor, you know, because there's no way for me to even push a crime against a person. So, and I'm not complaining about these mechanics. I like them. I just want more tools to combat this. I want a bigger spawn ship that's beefy. I want it to be very, very hard to kill those ships. I want it to be almost impervious like a space station.
Def,
right?
real quick.
Anyway, go ahead.
Let me put you at ease.
Yeah.
Pretend I'm Chris Roberts.
Camera 1. Camera 2.
Camera 1.
He'll figure it out. It'll be all right.
Yeah.
You see those spaceship hands?
I see those spaceship's hands, John.
He'll figure it out. That's the thing. It's like, you know, I'm torn between pie in the sky, thinking about what can be versus what is, what's now, what they'll do. It's like, it's a choose your own adventure. I mean, you can think about what would be cool and what they'll do, and you know, it's kind of a slippery slope, because at the end of the day, I'm not Chris, you're not Chris. I don't work for SIG. It's kind of hard. They feed us little morsels every now and then, right? We get a little, and we go, okay, that's what they're doing. Cool. But you know, outside of that, we don't really know where it's going. Like Angry said, you die, maybe you got to be in a first world system, not a third world system. Like that med bed won't work. When you die, you'll respawn 6 systems back, and you have to slow boat it all the way back. You're out of the fight now, buddy. You know, like they might do that. Like they might have a fix for it. I don't know. What we have now sucks. Yeah, you die, grab ship, go back, fight. This trucker going from Bajini Point to ArcCorp, he lost everything. You were in a Gladius wearing a diaper. You had almost zero risk, right?
Right.
You just caught him, you know, and you didn't even steal nothing. You didn't even scrape the hull. You just killed him for no reason, right? Shame on you. But you can do that, and that's like easy.
It's viable
easy
gameplay for that Gladius pilot. That's how he plays.
But we want the risk balanced, right? We want there to be a reason not to do that. So
it's actually more
hopefully
impressive.
They'll figure it out.
That's why we have mutual respect for pirates, actually, because we're not pirates, but it's an art form. For them to go hold somebody up and actually turn a profit, it's easier now than ever because of the way cargo works, and soft death. But it's a viable gameplay. Even the A2 bomb getting blown up, if CIG made a loophole, that's still viable. Shame on us for not knowing that loophole and preventing it in some way, right? That's that's the real outlook that we share. I think we all share that sentiment. So if I get overly excessive when I'm bitching, it's because I just want to know what the foundation is. That's when I'll really start believing all the hype, and start believing the progress. We have been making progress. CIG has been making progress, but they're giving us more. It's getting exciting, but I'm not excited because I see these gaps in the foundation, dude. Like, if you really have a spawn ship and your entire org is on there, like, that spawn ship better be very defendable. Because if I could set back an entire org of 20, 50 players with one guy or an exploit that cost me 0, that's just good warfare, right? If I could set back the enemy in a huge amount for
it's efficient
cost, yeah. If it's one Tomahawk missile that puts that enemy back into the Stone Age, that's just good warfare, you know? And so that's what I'm afraid of, is like, we don't have the rock, paper, scissors. We don't have the tools to get after it like that. And so it's rock, paper, scissors, A2 bomb right now. Like, it's
Truth.
There's a lot of imbalance. So hopefully that's just enlightening to some people.
What else we got? Let's do, you guys want to do one more topic and then call for this one?
I tell you what, so I prepared for this, us going super long. Come down to 2. Choose your own adventure. We can either go triple R op, or we can go 323 shit you're excited about. Which one you want to do?
Ooh, I think the triple R is...
Yeah.
We do have an ISC tomorrow that will shed a little more light on 323 stuff, so we can always do that later. So triple R op makes sense.
I'd say we go, we do 3R1. I want to give those guys some love. They showed up and like that was a great op. I want to give those guys some love, and then 323 can be the next one if people like this.
Yeah, let's do that.
Well, Angry, so you led the hostage rescue team for that op. Why did you do it, and how did you plan for it?
Hostage rescue team. So background on the op is that it was supposed to be the role play aspect, and like the reason that like orgs would even be in this area was because friendly org had gone in there to go recon on 3R while they were there, while their pilots went down, because 3R had their shit together, and then they basically went to the crash site, pulled the pilot, and then they were basically interrogating him to figure out where they needed to go and how they needed to take care of the rest of the threat. They called us, and we were supposed to go in there and basically rescue the hostage, and then also go after 3R's commander, and then extract both of them and get back up, and then go back onto the island for follow on. So the reason I did that, I love FPS in games. I think that FPS in video games, especially realistic and hardcore ones, is like a chess match or like a puzzle, and it's a mental game, and I fucking love that kind of stuff. It's cool in video games and with any kind of scenario that you get dropped into like that, because everyone's going to be different, because you have different players, different play styles. In a game like Star Citizen, where you have a sandbox, there's an unlimited amount of ways that they could counter you, and you just have to on cue figure out how to counter them, thinking 2 steps ahead, being prepared, yada yada yada. I love that shit. That is my bread and butter, and Daft knows that. So when that little op came down, and that was like one of our objectives, and we were talking about it in the early stages, like, dude, I want that team. Like, let me have it. Yeah. And then what was your follow-on question is how did I prep for it?
So you kind of you brought it up, like thinking about what they would do. So I was on your team, so I know very well your planning process. And to me, you called it the pace report, but in my brain, it was like, I have a good plan, I have a better plan, and I have a best plan. How do you even come up with those?
Real life experience tells me that every plan that you plan is only as good until it gets in contact with the enemy, and then it's all going to go to shit. So the only way to counter that is to A, red sell it, or B, just come up with multiple plans and implement them as they become necessary. You do this by saying, hey, the most optimal way that I want to take this, or I want to complete this objective, is X. And this is like in a perfect world. I got the perfect drop. I got all the equipment I ever wanted. I've got all the backup I ever wanted. Everything else around me is going great. The Cordon team has their shit together, and I'm in my zone. My team's got it, and they are just going to wipe the floor with these dudes. Putting that down on paper, giving that and briefing it to your team, super important because of the fact that they need to know what the basically the goal is. What, like, in an optimized world, what do you want to accomplish and how do you want to accomplish? And then you have to start stepping back. Okay, what if one thing goes wrong? What is that most likely thing? Okay, what's the second most likely thing? What's the third most likely thing? What is the oh shit, things have gone terribly wrong and I'm screwed. And how do I still work my way out of that problem? That's that's what I implemented for a pace plan, and that is very loosely based. If any of you real life nerds want to combat me on that, come get me in the DMs. We'll talk about strategy and all that stuff. Okay, but that's how I built that pace plan.
Daft, what was it like seeing the pace plan come together? You did a lot of red selling for that.
Mhm.
How do you red sell? Like what's
Well,
your mind going through?
it really, because like as a founder of the org, right, I put a lot of energy into like a leadership kind of thing to make these things happen. And so the pace plan only means something if the commander's intent has been given, if it actually matters, right? Like why in Vietnam or any war or any battle, like in the Revolutionary War, why people don't really know why was the Battle of Lexington and Concord like one of the first battles of the Revolutionary War? Like it wasn't just a random city that they picked. Like the context matters. That's what everything derives from. And the context of that battle was given because that's where all the munitions and armament was. So like if the British took that juncture, they would control a logistical point, and they would also control the armament. Like the colonies, the future Americans at the time, they wouldn't be able to arm themselves and fight a sustained battle because the British had a logistical issue coming over the ocean, right? So they needed that, but they lost it. And I could be wrong on that in some way, so some historian will probably correct me. But like the context of a battle matters, and so to further elaborate on what Weasel was saying is when we're making an op at like a high level, it's like, well, why are we doing this? You know, like what does this actually give us to use as a group in the PU or in Star Citizen? Like we don't make an op around a certain gameplay mechanic. Like we don't do something just to give our group gameplay. Like we do something because it makes sense for the group. It's going to further the group. It's actually tactile. It's something that would actually work in a player versus player situation or an org versus org if that happens more organically in the future where we have reasons to defend and attack certain places. So we have to come up with this intention on our own because CIG doesn't give it to us. There's literally no reason to go to Cutter's Rig ever unless you want to be a tourist or you grab a mission that tells you to be there to do XYZ. The game has to feed you. Every video game always feeds us a task, an objective to accomplish. And the good video games have a higher story that makes sense. And so you can experience like a commander's intent from the game developer, right? Or the dungeon master if you play these things. And so there's a big void. So I have to make that. And me and the other org people that are running the other org, the Triple R, like we have to make those conditions. And so the condition was, it's like, why would an org even be on Cutter's Rig, right? And that we have to make up something there. And so they were, for some reason, they were strong pointing on that island, and we had a reason to go snoop it out, and they had a reason to hold it. And whatever we want to like, you know, home brew, we can put in there like, oh, it was gold, it was oil, it was whatever. Default is always oil, right? We as Americans, we like our oil. We do lots of things for oil. So that's what we believe in BP.
They had Daft cigars.
Yeah, they had cigars.
Just humidors filled with Romeo y Julieta.
Exactly, dude. So they had my cigars, and we're like, we're going to get those bitches. But the scenario was that, you know, a friendly org of ours, they were reconnoitering that area, and they had a down pilot. So we made up those conditions, and the win conditions were they had to defend and hold the hostage who was in an incapacitated state, and that was like the mission timer. If they defended him in an incapacitated state for 60 minutes, they would win, and their interrogation was complete. And then we had to go rescue him in that time frame to prevent the interrogation and to save him. So it gave us an objective. The mistake, however, and then I'll get to Angry's pace plan. The mistake was that I gave Triple R. We established an objective that was kind of flimsy. Because if the hostage dies, then where's our objective, right? If the timer stops, where's the objective? If the high value target, the enemy leader, that was another win condition. If he leaves the area, like we don't have any tools to find this guy. And it just staunches gameplay, and now it turns into a battle for another day. So we have to pack in these like action-packed objectives into a 2 to 3 hour play session so we can all just experience life. So that's challenge number one. We made some mistakes there. So Triple R, we're probably not going to make objectives be something that can die. Like whatever. Those will be bonus objectives. But anyway, so Angry's pace plan was awesome. A pace plan, there's a lot of terms for this. There's 5 paragraph orders, there's warnos, there's fragos. A pace plan is like the actual actions on an objective, basically. So Angry's pace plan was solid, it was good, and I love red selling. That's how some of the best plans I've ever come up with. It's because I have a good red sell guy, and so I'm bouncing ideas at him, and then I think it actually expanded your pace plan a little bit, right, Angry? You had audibles now that you could call if needed. But because of the objective dying, so our hostage died mysteriously a couple minutes in. So if you got Triple R, we love you guys, but shame on you guys for not protecting your objectives. So the HVT we were supposed to captured was not there, so we're just calling it botched intel. You know, that happens in real life on real raids. Botched intel, we couldn't get the HVT, and the hostage died. So did we meet the win conditions? No, but neither did they. So it was kind of frustrating from a top-down leadership coordinating with Gunner, and then I was in a transport pilot position, but I quarterbacked the creation of the op with them. So then, but Angry's pace plan, man, was good. So we had a couple teams in BP doing certain stuff, and the HRT team was kind of the cream of the crop. You guys had the best little mission set. And the pace plan was dope. There was like literally no problems that arose from the pace plan. It was all
to
bugs
be frank,
in the game.
I'm a little angry because in his pace plan, it did not say beware of snipers who can shoot through greenhouses.
Yeah.
I didn't see that anywhere in the plan. I can't believe you didn't plan for that.
Yeah. We
had
the
the
pleasure.
Be better. Be
They
better.
sort of didn't even have, like, if you look at the TikTok video, like, and it's a great sniper position, and like props to him for holding it up there, and he was taking great shots at it. He had a perfect view of this, but like the buildings that we saw that we were around did not render for him, and he was clearly able to shoot right through it.
I was like, we look like a bunch of dumbasses standing on top of that oil plant. Like on our screen, we're like behind a hard cover. We're in buildings. You know, and then like on their screen, we're just running around. Like there's no cover on the platform at all.
The rig is empty, right?
Yeah, we're just like, what are you guys doing here? Yo,
for those of you that have been to Cutter's rig, you know, like there are so many assets in there: buildings, hard structures, plants, pottery, pipes. There's so much cover and garden gnomes, yeah.
I'll put it this way: getting a drop ship, in there, like to drop us off. Like we were worried about hitting antennas, buildings, pods, tanks, flower plots, like other people. You name it. Like holy shit, dude.
Yeah.
And then like we look at somebody else's stuff and we're like, where's all the hazards?
Where's all the stuff? Yeah. So the sniper just like had like it's like almost equivalent of like a wall hack. I don't want to accuse them. They didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah, but it wasn't malicious, but it happened.
Yeah, so if the map is not rendering in for the enemy equally, Like one party's going to have an advantage. If you're hiding behind a wall that's not even there for me and my rounds can go through, I'm going to win the day, right? Same thing if the desync is in your favor. So I guess to scold Weasel is your pace plan didn't account for CIG's back-end bugs that we would encounter.
The new Raystar engine. Yeah, our new Raystar engine that dropped in all these assets and can't load them in until you're within, 2 kilometers of the actual asset. And then when it does, and you've got multiple other player assets, like, I don't know, thousands of players playing on a single shard. Where did I hear that from? Oh, yeah.
But that's interesting.
All right. Hey, just to hit that as well, like, I won't say his name, but like the guy that took those shots, and regardless of whether or not you can see the buildings or not, like you're still making shots from a good distance and everything. You're still hit your targets. Those are hella shots. Yeah,
it was good shooting for sure.
It was good shooting. It wasn't good. It wasn't good rendering. That's all. Great shooting with no rendering, and so that's kind of frustrating to know. Like, hey, we're not as easy to kill as that representation shows us. I promise you we're using good individual actions and taking cover behind hard structure. But if it doesn't exist in behind the sniper scope, then it doesn't exist, So which is funny.
That out there,
that's a problem.
That out there too, yeah, man. Like we still hit the objective, cleared the entire objective, killed 5 dudes on the outpost, and then took out 2 other drop ships that tried to come in.
Well, we killed drop ships, and there's no telling who was on the drop ships technically. So who knows how many people died?
Yeah. Who knows? But it was the point is it was great action and good reps for the branded privateers to use our direct action rapid response tactics. It's what we call DART. It's just a fancy total LARPing term we use, but because we like to have fun.
Fireball.
Yeah, fireball, lightning bolt. But it does work though, right? Like to get a team of 6 directly on an objective, mitigating the enemy's anti-air assets and also air assets. It's harder to do than people think, and the answer isn't always A2 bomb, right? Because the bunkers, if there's somebody that you got to kill in a bunker, like the CIG devs, they know that. They did that event with the golden ticket kind of shit, the platinum tickets, and they just sat in a bunker, man, and just people kept bringing them ammo. They'd die and scavenge their ammo and do it all over again. So there is a need for ground FPS in Star Citizen. It's just sometimes you got to make your own win conditions. So yeah, that was really good execution of it, like almost fucking flawless. Like had the hostage been there or the enemy leader been where they were supposed to be, you guys owned and completely cleared the entire rig and owned it for almost 20 minutes. And we would have gotten you in and out of there faster, but there was nothing for you to do there other than just hold it while we conferred with each other. And we're like, well, the objectives that we set aside to play are completely gone. So how should we restructure this? And the Triple R guys are really good and flexible, and we'll give everybody the benefit of the doubt and stuff like this because we're just there to have good gameplay. So they shifted, and then we redeployed the HRT team just to the island to go fuck shit up. Right? How did that go?
That was good.
That went very well. Much better than the rig because frames on the rig were so bad. Me personally, they cleared up once on the island. I saw your video. You had a much worse experience than I did when I was playing, which is why I asked you about your John Woo clip because not John Woo, John Wick, because I looked to my left. And Angry was just John Wick gunfighting a dude point blank, and they were both trying to shoot each other. I was like, Angry, he's right on you. He's like, I know. I'm a slideshow. And I wound up assisting that one, but yeah, frames are bad pretty much all around. And
it was so bad.
But the island still went well for our team specifically. It went well for us.
Yeah, and I think we try to have them. We're like, okay, everybody converge at the top point of the island, right? The tower. It's a big radio tower there, and we're like, fight and hold that. And I think we fought everybody off. I think a lot of people logged off on the other team, But you guys were fucking shit up on that island, destroying them. We already had elements on there too, and the 88th, one of our partner orgs, they were there with their vehicles, dealing a lot of damage and death to the enemy. And so we held the hilltop pretty cool. It was good. Like it was cool to see you guys hold it enough for dropships to come in, and we all exfilled together as a group, which is kind of the cherry on top for a big op like that, when you have 100% accountability getting off the planet surface.
And what about Exodor coming with us, buddy? What about that?
Yeah. Oh, Exodor coming with us? What do you mean?
Yeah, no. So he was on the Flyboy team, right? So he got chased down by a Hornet Ghost. He did eject on the island.
Oh,
survived.
that was Chenkov.
Chenkov, yeah.
That's the Exodor. Chenkov. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, survived the landing, and he got exfilled with us on the Connie.
It was cool.
His old man with gray hair, he's limping. And then, GG's in the chat for everybody. We go to the med bed and we take pictures with Chenkov laying in the bed. I loved it.
Yeah, it was good. It was cool, though. Like the ejection mechanic, there's so much potential gameplay for ground and air assets to connect on. Like if the ground has more tools, I guess we're finally getting a compass. Fucking finally. Soon, next patch. But Chenkov, we could coordinate with that, because there's a whole military doctrine manual. It's called TRAP. TRAP, Tactical Recovery of Aircraft and Personnel. My Marine Corps unit that was one of our mission sets. We were a helo unit, but we also responded to tactical recovery of aircraft and personnel. So if there's a downed pilot, if you can find the hardware, the helicopter, the plane, you get phosphorus on that, you destroy that shit, and then you recover the personnel, bodies or alive. And so there's a whole strategy to it, how you comb. It's almost like combat search and rescue, but like there's elements of that in there. And it kind of turned into that too, because we were still in a hostile zone. We had control of a hill, and then we all kind of watched Chenkov's party marker just like blow up, soft death, and it's spiraling down. He ejects unbeknownst to us, but he's still incapped. And so we think he's dead, but then he reports over the radios. He's like, hey, I'm still alive. Come get me. So now we had to go pick him up, And then, of course, the game was throwing hard shit at Angry. Chenkov's marker was like in a different spot for Angry. So he's like trying to resuscitate a fucking bush or something. Like, you're like, I'm shooting him. I don't know. And so I came over, and it was like, it's just a matter of like server rendering, or server communication. Because I look at Angry, and he's like, he's shooting a stump with a med gun.
He's high. Look at this bush, Daft.
And Chenkov's body was like 20 feet away. So the party markers were working for me, and we got Chenkov up. It was great, though. And it was really cool to see all teams converge and everybody get out of there alive after we had taken the hilltop. So the objective's kind of like washed. It's just kind of like, we took the rig. The proof of concept was there, right? Weasel, your pace plan, you executed almost to a T, right? What did you change? Anything you changed in the pace plan, or you hit it pretty much like you planned it?
No, it went down actually on the primary plan. We got 90% of personnel on the first drop onto the upper pad. Immediately hard pointed on right side, and then Bravo element sweeped. And as they were sweeping, we came under fire from that was the only thing that popped up, I guess. We came under fire from air asset. He was just an M50, just strafe it and just locking down the entire upper ramp. So we took cover inside of our greenhouses that apparently were able to get shot through. We called in friendly air. They came in and cleared him out. Right as they were starting to clear him out, and the second he got distracted, Bravo element pushed. Me and Hoots and Brome held down the initial landing point, and then after Bravo swept that, Hoots went to lock down one of the primary struts that we were like, that's where they're going to hold the dude. So he locked that down. Bravo team led by Vitchez dropped down on the upper or the lower deck, cleared that. At that point, we figured out that one of our guys, Keen, had dropped late, or like right at the end of the time or the drop ship drop. So he dropped onto the first deck first. He dropped down like right in front of one of the enemy players. And he just fucking obliterated him, and then he walked up the ramp and was like, "I'm here, guys."
Yeah, because you had an extra guy, right? You had
Yes.
7. That's right.
Yeah.
Keen came in last minute.
So they cleared that. They cleared down on second or lower deck, and then cleared all the arms and the landing zones, and then we came back up, hardened up, and then we took the alpha strut that we thought like that was going to have like the hostage and the HVT possibly. They took that. We didn't have anybody, so we came back to the top deck. That's kind of where I fucked up. I should have pushed my guys down to the lower deck, but that's a different story for a different time. And then at that point, we started getting pushed by other assets. First, it was Cuddy Red, so we immediately pulled out animuses and railguns that we had stashed on the rig and engaged those. Knocked that one down, and then second thing was Hooch is like, "There's a ship coming in over top of you guys," and we're like, "Where?" He's like, "Over top of Keen and Knox position." They like look up, and there's a fucking Valkyrie just like slow rolling coming in. Ramps are coming down. We take 2 shots at it, and then it's like, "Oh fuck." And it took off and started it tilted a little bit, and we're like, "Oh, what is it doing?" And then all of a sudden the side gun just like we're like, "Oh fuck." And so we're trying to take that thing out. I went down to sniper fire at that point, and then like 2 seconds later you hear Hoots like "Out down," and like we blew it out of the sky, and it like crash lands on the one of the lower pads, and then we're like, "Oh, we killed it, like it's dead." And then lo and behold, it's soft death, so everyone inside still alive. And so through I don't know, a minute later, like they find out how to open up the doors, and then they start like just piling out. And Hoots is like, "I got one. Oh shit, there's 2." And then like then there was 5, and then
Yeah.
like
It's
we
like
had
a clown car. They start piling out, dude.
oh yeah,
That's-
but we had dudes up on the top of the rig with LMGs, so they were just like raining down on them. And then we blew up the ship with another railgun shot. So yeah, it was cool.
yeah. Yeah, you guys, it sounded like an action movie when you were reporting it in the AAR with everybody. You're like, yeah, we came over here, and then we went over to Narnia, and we fucking killed a witch, and then we came back and launched
All
into
in a
space.
day's work.
Then we blew up an asteroid, saved the planet, and then we came over here, and like we took out 6 ballistas, just easily, and then we did.
Well, that's why this game hits different, because
Yes.
you don't get that feeling like the sheer size of that conflict area and all the pieces that play, 3 different teams, split comms, mechanized units, or recon units, hostage rescue units, like you just everything coming together. And like you said, cherry on top, somehow we all kind of converge into the same place and exfil together. That's a great feeling, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to find a game that gives you that.
It's true. Yeah. And shout out to our air guys. Like they dominated the space. Like I drove a dropship to the surface. I drove a little terrapin full of whoop ass twice to the surface and back. And I think one time I got locked up, like targeted. That was it. I didn't take a single shot, nothing. I just sat listening to command comms with Gunner in the terrapin, just like, cool. And then you guys loaded up, and I'd take you down and come back. So our air guys dominated the air. I think they had multiple kills, and more importantly, they just distracted the enemy air and distracted their AA vehicles, so they couldn't take me down. I think they were Triple R mentioned to the 88th. I think they were very confused on how we got down there so fast, or how we hit them without them knowing. Right? Yeah. That straight down tactic it's going to get out eventually, but it's really good. So, but yeah, we can go into more detail about that and other ops and stuff. But I think today we're approaching 2 hours on this.
Dude,
episode.
we've been rocking, and rolling for a while. I was thinking, I don't know if we did it in the beginning, but like, plug your shit. Tell the people what you got going on, what you're excited about.
Yeah. What's shit? So this is being streamed live right now on the Daft Hobbit channel. This is a temporary podcast setup. We're just using a Discord phone call. So this will change, and we're going to have Mal be doing some production on the back end. But
Young Mal.
So this is on the Daft Hobbit Twitch right now. So if you're there live, what up, y'all? Shameless plugs. Let's do it. So come join us there. Just Daft Hobbit. Twitch.tv/Daft Hobbit. And we're going to do some cigar streams later this week. Also, my cohort here, Angry, you can find him at angry_weasel WEEZEL. We'll probably put some links down here in the description as well so you can find Angry. But he and I, we run a streaming community that's just getting off, just called The Mob. The Angry Mob for Angry Weasel. That's so fitting for you and your anger as well. And then I'm just the Daft Mob, but together we are the Mob. Money over bitches. I don't know what it stands for yet. We're just mobsters. But I think the community...
Young Mal's like...
What? Yeah, well, she's...
Say what?
She's not one of them bitches. She's a real lady,
Boo thing.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, we run that community, but the real community is Branded Privateers that host Stuck in the Nail, this community, our Star Citizen community. So everything we stream, no matter what we play, right, Weasel, it brings people into the Branded Privateers Discord. That's where we want people to be.
Yes,
if
sir.
you want to come play Star Citizen or whatever game, if you want to join our communities in Twitch, like you'll be in that Discord eventually. So just come and join that. Well, that'll be plugged as well in the description. But I think that's it. Anything you want to add, Weasel? What do you want to plug?
Nah, man. I'm also on Twitch if you want to pop up over there. The links will be in the description and everything like that. After this, I'm going live and we're just gonna play some video games.
Yeah.
If you like this community and everything, come join us. We're a bunch of chill individuals, and if we like you, we like you. If we don't, then, well, you can still stay in the Discord.
If you like it, come over. If you don't, get out of here. No, we like to goof off. We do a lot of cool shit. But
We have fun. We have fun here.
we do.
You know,
Fun.
fun with the boys.
Cool. Well, what do you think, Hoots? You think we can continue doing this? Is good vibes, good energy?
I gotta be honest. I like the chemistry.
I do too.
I like it a lot.
We're only gonna get better at it too. So.
I failed chemistry, but I like it too.
Awesome. Well, make sure you guys leave some comments. Give us some feedback too. Anything you want discussed. Have we missed something? If you're an FPS nut job like us, what have we missed? But yeah. Anything else you want to take us out, Hoots?
Yeah, I was gonna say a little community questions next time. I think that'd be pretty fun. I don't even want to vet them. I just want to take them straight on. No, I'm glad we did this. I have zero things to plug. I missed Stuck in the Nail so much that I was like, holy shit, how can I help make this happen? So
Yeah.
that's why I'm here. I'm intern Hoots.
This is episode 17, and we're currently migrating over to a different YouTube and a different podcast platform. So if you're seeing this, by the time that happens, you'll have 16 other episodes you can go watch. And this is the first episode with Angry and Hoots, so there are going to be many more. But do you know the proper outro, Hoots? What I say at every episode?
Did you do your homework?
God, I knew this question was come up. I'm so underprepared. Daft, I know it. Can you remind me of what exactly it is?
I got it right here.
I can check my memory because it's there for sure.
This is it. Thanks for watching. This has been episode 17 of Stuck in the Nail. I'm Daft. This is Angry and Hoots, and we'll see you on the ground.